That's your oil pan. This is your transmission pan. You're not going to get it all, but I'm guessing 3 or 4 liters. Trying to get the light not to. But it's a 19mm socket. Now, I don't know if you can see that nut there to the left. That's the overfill plug. Okay, so when you drain it, let it completely drain, and then put the plug back in. Okay guys, what you're seeing here is the scan tool. So what I did was I hooked up the scan tool after I drained it, because you don't need to hook it up until you refill it. So as you've seen in that little clip that I showed you, you just take that bottom bolt out and let it drain, completely on a level surface, and then measure what you take out, because it varies for some reason. Usually I took out 3.8 liters. So what I did was I just refilled it through the little fill tube, and I filled it up with 3.5 liters of CVT fluid. So I put the overfill plug back in, and I started up the vehicle. And on this scan tool, I went and I checked the temperature. I went into transmission and live data. So when it got up to 35 degrees Celsius, for my US subscribers, you're going to have to figure it out. But it's 35 to 45. That's the range that you have to check this fluid. So when it gets up to 35, I got down and I took out the overfill plug, and like I said, it was just left of the drain plug. And in my case, it started to, just started to drip. So I put the plug back in, and I went and I put the transmission through every gear for 5 seconds. Each one, I did that a couple times. By that time it was up to about 37 degrees, not even. And so I got back down and I took out the overfill plug, and there was nothing. So then I actually put in about 1/4 liter, and still nothing. And I put in another 1/4 liter, and it just started to dribble out. So I kind of put in maybe an eighth, maybe about not even 200 mils, I wouldn't say, about 100 mils more. And it started to just have a little stream, a continuous stream. So I put the plug back in and checked the temperature, and the temperature was, I think it was up to 37, 39 or something, which you're in that range. So that was it. Then I took it for a test drive, and I brought it back. I put it up on ramps this time, and just check for leaks or anything like that. Everything was good. The the best torque spec that I could find
And
for
go down,
these plugs was
keep going
29 foot-pounds. So I torqued it up to 29 foot-pounds. It seemed to be not too tight. You know.
Okay.
So yeah,
there it is. Fluid temp. Right
that's
now,
pretty much it for this.
83
this
Celsius.
is a very easy job,
right? But that's
and
where you go.
You
and
see here,
as it comes up,
I just
as soon as it hits 35,
go in and check the
always put
temperature
in just a
on this
little
device.
bit
This
extra
device,
because you're going to have it
review,
until it starts coming out of the fill plug, right? The overflow plug. And just because she's cold, so you put the plug in and just add maybe 100 milliliters extra. And then when she starts coming up on a level surface, when she starts coming up to 35 degrees Celsius, when she hits 35, go down, open the overfill plug, and let it run out until it's just a very small drip or just a very slight stream. Put the plug back in, tighten it up, and you're done. All right, guys? You don't get a full flush. I mean, you're only going to get, 3.5 liters, 4 sometimes, I don't know why. But 3.5 liters is what you're going to get each time. But with these CVT transmission, guys, if you're doing, I don't do no pulling with this thing, right? I got a trailer hitch on it, but that's before I realized what a CV. I didn't know much about it. I just bought it. I didn't look into what transmission actually was. But if you're driving on dirt roads, just like the manual says, but if you're doing any pulling, your boat, sea-doos, skidoos, anything like that on a regular basis, I wouldn't go by the manual. I would change your do what I just did. You don't have to go get a flush. It's a very simple process if you just take your time. But definitely, I wouldn't go anywhere past 60,000 kilometers. Okay? And you know what? For the price, and because these transmissions, CVT transmissions, aren't known to last. I mean, there's a lot of trouble if you don't change your fluid, and it's just a pain in the ass, these transmissions. So I would even, like if I was towing, like I was saying, if I was towing stuff, 30,000 that's when I would change it, right? I drain it, put in 3.5 liters, and I do that every 30,000 kilometers. Just so that you don't have to spend, $8 grand getting a transmission put in, or 10 grand, or whatever it is. God only knows how much they'd soak you for. So anyway, guys, I hope this helped you out, and thanks. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.